join, but we can start in time. Uh, so it is my privilege to welcome today's esteemed speaker, Dr. Binoy Goswami. Thank you for your time and sparing your experience, sharing your experience in this audience. I'm very happy to see Professor Moni. Professor, welcome to this webinar. Just a few words about this organization. CIRDAP, Center on Integrated Road Development in Asia and Pacific. It is a 46 years old organization. We work with 15 Asia and Pacific countries. Physically, it is very difficult to reach all the countries all the time, and therefore digital platform. We have created this webinar series in order to share good practices with the member countries and stakeholders. This is the 38th talk in the series. About the topic, very interesting topic, unorganized marketing channels and organized marketing channels, whether they can coexist. In case of milk and in Nepal, it is a very interesting case study. But, just recall what happened during COVID-19 when all the supply chains collapsed. In fact, you call it as organized or unorganized, but advantage of the entire COVID period that shows the efficiency of both the systems. I think there is a lesson for many other issues are there, whether this unorganized marketing system, which is prevailing, especially in perishables, especially in rural areas, whether how the time and is it beneficial in terms of pricing to the consumers, what is the producer share in the consumer rupee, and compared to organized, whether organized sector can cover all the villages. You take the example of very big country India. There are 6.25 lakh villages are there. Whether any organized sector can cover all the villages, the big question mark. But on the other side, most successful cooperative model, it covers around 36 lakh farmers. So 18,500 cooperative societies. Even if you add 10, maybe 1,20,000 villages. So that is only 25% maximum. So there is a lot of scope for this coexistence, how it is working in Nepal, and what are the lessons for other countries is the topic for the day. Thank you, Dr. Binoy, for sparing your time. Again, I would like to welcome all the participants and the speaker. Over to you, Hooray.
Thank you so much, sir, for your honorable inauguration of this webinar. Now, I want to give a very brief description about our honorable speaker, Dr. Binoy Goswami. He is an associate professor of South Asian University, New Delhi, India. He is also a member of Interdisciplinary Center of Excellence on Climate Change, Green Transition and Sustainability of South Asian University, New Delhi. Dr. Binoy Goswami achieved his PhD degree in 2013 in economics from Guwahati University. And from the same university, he holds his master's degree. He has about 15 years of teaching and research experience. One student has been awarded MPhil degree and 5 other students has been awarded their doctoral thesis under his wonderful supervision. He was awarded the Professor M.J. Manohar Rao Award of the year 2012 for the best paper presented by a young economist during the 49th annual conference of the Indian Economic Society. His main field of interests includes agricultural economics, environmental economics, energy economic, and international trade. So I will not go through his entire publication on research interest. You can check it in our expert.cirdap.org. He has vast knowledge of different kinds of projects, so you can go through it. With the permission of our Honorable Director General, now I welcome our Honorable Speaker, Dr. Binoy Goswami, to start this webinar talk.
Thank you, Hurain, and good morning to all of you, and probably good afternoon if depending on wherever you are attending from. First of all, I would like to thank the Director General of CIRDAP and for giving me this platform to share our research. And also, I would like to thank all of you who are present here for sparing your time. So let's just give me 1 minute to share the screen, then I will start. I hope all of you can see my screen.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. All right. So I actually also have a co-author, Maheshwar Giri. He, in fact, was my PhD scholar. So the title, as all of you know, is Why Do Organized and Unorganized Marketing Channels Coexist? A Case of Milk Marketing in Nepal. So what we try to understand here is the duality in the marketing space. By duality, I mean the coexistence of the organized and unorganized marketing channels. And we use the milk marketing as a case study from Nepal. So here we, of course, are not trying to understand the implications of that. We have done that also, but here we are not sharing those results here, but we are just trying to understand the reasons for the coexistence of these two channels, their implications for the farmer income that we have looked at, that we are not sharing here, but maybe I can mention towards the end of this presentation. So the importance of marketing infrastructure or marketing channels, particularly for the agricultural commodities, there is something I don't think I need to explain here. All of us know why that's important, right? I mean, the marketing channels play a crucial role in ensuring that the agricultural produce reaches the target consumers, fetches fair returns, and thereby ultimately, make the farming enterprises profitable. Particularly for commodities like, milk or other perishable commodities, marketing channels are very, very important. We need a well-organized and efficient marketing infrastructure. Now, milk, why do we choose milk? Dairy sector in the context of Nepal economy is a major contributors to Nepal's economy. It contributes about 33% of agricultural GDP and about 9% of national GDP. And these are all official statistics from the Ministry of Agriculture and Livestock Department of Nepal. And this sector has seen, particularly the raw milk production over the past decade, it has seen an impressive growth of about 6.1% annual growth. But despite all that, there has been demand and supply, continuous, consistent demand and supply mismatch in Nepal when it comes to milk. Maybe because of population growth, urbanization, or there's a growing taste for dairy products in the urban areas. Now, the reasons for that could be many. I mean, first of all, the supply itself could be less compared to the demand, or maybe because whatever is produced is not coming to the market. Now, in the context of Nepal, half of the total production is self-consumed and only the remaining half is marketable surplus. And of that marketable surplus, about 34% passes through the organized channels and remaining 66% passes through the unorganized channels. Now we know that when majority of the milk passes through the unorganized channel or a very less amount of milk passes through the organized channels, so there could be distributional issues in the sense that if you if you have organized channels, more people are coming to the organized channel, organized space, then from the point of production to a far off point of sale, it is possible to carry that product. But for the unorganized channels, that may not be possible. So that is one of the reasons why actually, just a second, I don't know. Just a second, I don't know why I'm unable to move the PPT. Let me just share it one more time. Some reason why I can't move the PPT. Let me just share it one more time. Okay, all right. I hope it's visible again. So, sorry for that hiccup. So, because of that, this demand supply mismatch particularly, so the Nepal government has been actually trying to sort of bring more and more farmers into the organized space. So, Nepal has this Dairy Development Policy 2022. One of the objectives of that policy is to raise the share of milk sold through organized channels to 60% by 2043. And of course, also for that reason, they want to increase the per capita availability also. Now, in line with that national goal, the provincial and the local governments, they have introduced a per liter cash transfer scheme for the milk sold through organized channels. I think 3 rupees per liter, it's a cash transfer program that they have. I may be not correct about that number, 3 or 2 or what, but there is a scheme, a cash transfer scheme. And besides that, this distributional benefit, and there are also belief that in the organized space, it is easier to sort of ensure fair pricing and ethical practices, safety issues. Those things can be better controlled in the organized space. So therefore, they are trying to promote these organized marketing channels in case of milk marketing. But despite that, we see the coexistence of, as the director sir was also saying, that there could be justification for the existence of the organized marketing channels, but they coexist. They continue to exist side by side. So this kind of raised this intriguing question as to why is it that despite the government's effort to provide cash incentives so that more and more farmers comes to the organized space, but why does that unorganized channel also continue to exist? So that's the answer that we are trying to figure out through this research. Now, before I get into the specific research and answer that questions, let me just highlight certain issues from the existing literature, because these issues help us to find the answer for our research questions as well as guide our research. Now, in the context of all the developing countries, the literature reports that there is a transformation, significant transformation happening in the food market. And this change, the transformation, is being attributed to the rising consumer incomes, urbanizations, and evolving lifestyle, market liberalizations, globalization, and so on and so forth. And as a response to those factors, or that change, transformation that is happening in the food market, the marketing channels in the organized space are coming up. So like, for example, modern retailers like supermarkets, online stores, these are penetrating not into the urban space, even if in a limited way, but also to the rural space. These channels are organized channels are penetrating. But the unorganized marketing channels continue to exist, particularly the traditional channels like smallholder farmers, traders, street vendors, who rely more on spot market transactions and community connections. And of course, they cater to diverse customer preferences. Just to give you an example, usually in the organized channels, probably the volume of transaction could be much larger, whereas in the unorganized channel, the small quantity can also be transacted. So that could be one advantage of the unorganized marketing channel, which is why it continues to sort of coexist, or rather exist alongside the organized marketing channel. So there are other issues also, but there are certain challenges in the unorganized channels, particularly quality control promoting hygiene measures or food safety. These are major concerns. And also the post-harvest losses due to inadequate storage and transportation. This is another major problem in the unorganized channels. But because these two channels, organized and unorganized, cater to different market needs and consumer segments, they might coexist. That's what the existing literature suggests. Coming to the specific case of milk. Now, as I already said in the beginning, that, the perishable nature of milk, that actually makes it more challenging when it comes to the marketing of commodities like agricultural commodities like milk. You have to produce and immediately bring it to the market. And that at times increases the transaction cost. Then there is, because, there is variability in the quality depending on the cattle type, breeding practices and locations. There is no standardization. And particularly, therefore, in the unorganized space, trust between producers and buyers becomes very, very critical. Now, in the organized marketing channels, okay, now there are certain benefits that the organized marketing channels offer, like, for example, the chilling facilities that reduces the spoilage risk. But that is something that the farmers or the milk producers in the remote places find difficult to access to, right? Then there are certain mandatory standardized quality tests in the organized channels, which are good from the quality point of view, but could have adverse financial implication for the small farmers. This is one issue that we also confront in our investigation. We'll discuss that in more detail later. Then pricing, for example, in the organized marketing channel, there they follow a different pricing system, whereas in the unorganized marketing system, it's a different pricing system. It's a volume-based pricing system in the unorganized channels, whereas in the organized marketing channel, it's a different pricing system. Even the bargaining power also, when you look at the bargaining power of particularly the seller, in the organized marketing channel, if the farmers are organized into cooperative or particularly some group, either through cooperative or any other organizations, then their bargaining power can be improved. And of course, in the organized marketing channels, the farmers do not have the burden of, finding out new buyers, whereas that's a problem in the unorganized marketing channel. Seasonal variation is a major issue because unorganized channels are not equipped, cannot sort of accommodate the variation in the milk production. So if in one season there is surplus, then the farmers cannot find out the new buyer overnight, right? Or during the lean season also consistently they cannot supply. Whereas in the organized channel, that is not a big issue. Then, negotiation and payment issues are also certain issues that are faced in both the channels. But in the organized channels, delayed payments or accounting issues are less. Whereas in the unorganized channels, that is what the literature reports, that could be these channels are more susceptible to that kind of problem. So these are some of the issues that the literature highlights when it comes to overall food marketing as well as perishable commodities like milk. So in the light of these issues, we set our research agenda where we try to understand the coexistence of organized and unorganized milk marketing channels. Why does this duality exist? And our specific objective are to explore the milk marketing channels available for milk producing farmers in Nepal. And then we try to identify the factors that affect the choice of these channels. So when farmers are choosing whether to sell through the organized channel or through the unorganized channel, so what are the factors that affect that choice? So that is what we are trying to figure out, and thereby to answer our general question that the coexistence of organized and unorganized milk marketing channel. So we use primary data. So it's a case study. So we don't have a very big sample. We have 102 households from the Lalitpur districts, which is close to the Kathmandu district, which is Nepal's national capital. And we use a multi-stage sampling technique where at the first stage, we identify the cattle rearing regions and divide those regions into two sub-regions, rural and semi-urban. So we have a continuum of geographical space. Then At the second stage, we identify 7 localities from the rural regions and 4 localities from the semi-urban regions. And finally, 10% farmer from each of the localities is selected for the sample. Now, all the issues that when I was discussing the issues from the literature, all those issues were associated with or challenges associated with organized and unorganized marketing channels. So in the literature, all those issues are as a whole termed as transaction cost associated with the marketing, right? So we use that's a similar terminology here, the transaction cost, but we divide all those transaction costs into 2 groups: pecuniary and non-pecuniary. Now, pecuniary or the monetary transaction cost is not very difficult to collect information on those items, but non-pecuniary cost, particularly when it comes to capturing the challenges like carrying milk from the point of production to the point of sale. So these are very difficult information to collect. But for that, what we do, we use a 5-point rating scale to capture the severity of that non-pecuniary intangible cost. So we have about like 15 that kind of cost headings. And where, sorry, we 1 reflect it's not a problem, and 5 reflects that it's a major problem. So like that, we collect information, and then out of that 15, we identify the most important one by some statistical analysis, and which we use for further statistical analysis, econometric analysis, particularly regression analysis. So we use what is called the profit model to identify which are these transaction costs that are important in or that influence the choice of the farmers, along with some other socioeconomic variables. And we assign 1 to a household if that household chooses the organized marketing channel, and 0 if it chooses unorganized channel. Okay, so whatever marketing channels that we have identified, again, we call it organized and unorganized. So unorganized marketing channel, which is very typical of this part of the world, like particularly in South Asia, which is common, all of us probably know, where the farmers sell their milk directly to buyers, such as individual households, local tea shops, and sweet shops. And these arrangements are based on mutual trust and informal agreements. The price, quantity, sale terms, these are mutually decided. There is no standardized quality measurements, so making it susceptible to particularly, dilution of milk by adding water is a major problem. Farmers typically in the unorganized space deliver the milk to the buyers, and sometimes, of course, the buyers also come to collect to the farmer's house. Payments are made in cash, and most importantly, prices that exist are, however, anchored to the factory process and packaged milk. In the organized marketing channels, farmers typically deliver their milk to the collection centers, and that is where it is weighed, tested, and paid for. Now, there are 3 types of collection centers that we came across in Nepal. The first, certain collection centers are maintained or operated by the dairy companies only. And then there are certain other collection centers which are outsourced to contractor. The terms and conditions are set by the dairy company, but the contractor will collect and pay the money to the farmers, and then you will take that milk to the processing unit of the dairy company. And at times, even the dairy company itself will collect it to its processing unit. The third one is where the member of the cooperatives, certain cooperatives, they will have their collection center in the premise of the the office building of the cooperative, and where the members of the cooperatives, they will come and deliver their milk there. Now, again, here, it's just that the cooperatives maintains that collection center, gives the physical premise of their campus. But other than that, terms and condition, everything is decided by the dairy company only. And there is no formal agreement, written agreement between the cooperative and its member or with the dairy company that if you are a member of the cooperative, you need to deliver it there only. You are free, even if you are a member, to sell through other channels as well. So that is, in fact, the reason why we do not use this nomenclature, formal and informal, because there is no written formal agreement, which is why we use organized and unorganized, this nomenclature. So in the organized marketing channels, milk is usually collected twice during the summer and once during the winter. And there only they measure the fat percentage. So the pricing in the organized marketing channel is linked to the fat content of the milk. Now, actually, both fat and solid non-fat, SNF and fat, but they measure only the fat and assume that the non-fat content will be twice, solid non-fat content will be twice the fat content. And at the time when we conducted this interview, this survey, at that time, the government determined rate for per percentage point of fat was 6.81 rupees, and for SNF it was 3.60 rupees. Payments here are usually made every 30 days, either in cash or transferred. The payment is transferred to the farmer's bank account. So this is about the channels, different type of modalities of operation of the marketing channels. Some results, findings that I am presenting here, where we are trying to understand the choice of the marketing channels and its association with the volume of milk that is produced and also the herd size. So we saw here in this particular context of the Lalitpur district where we had our field work, we found that about 74% of the farmers actually have utilized organized marketing space, whereas about 21% of the percent of the farmers, milk producers, use the unorganized channels, and about 3.92% of the farmers used both the channels. But what we find here that as the volume of milk produced or the herd size increases, the choice inevitably becomes the organized channels, which probably is not difficult to understand, because if you are producing in large quantity, then obviously you don't want to, if there is a fluctuations, or there could be fluctuations, and it is easy to, confront, or rather sort of in the organized channels, since they are more equipped to handle those fluctuations. So the natural choice become the organized channels. In terms of those non-pecuniary transaction costs, the 15 items that I was referring to. So the transaction cost, the challenges related to price discovery and uncertainty about price, we found that that's not a major problem in either of the channels, whether organized or unorganized, because there is an effective information dissemination regarding price that happens. So that's not a challenge. But there are certain things which our survey respondent reported as challenges. For example, the transportation. Now, it is a problem in both the channels, but relative to the organized channels, it is a major problem in the unorganized channels. So 78% of those who participated in the unorganized channels, they reported it as a major problem. And this is a problem even in the organized channel also. 45% of those who sold through organized channel, they say that it is a major problem. So that highlights the importance of the need for improving the logistical infrastructure. Then fluctuation in milk production. Now we found that it is well managed in the organized channel. This is not an issue in the organized channels, but in the unorganized channels, it is a major problem. The fat-based pricing system in the organized channel. Now, what happens here is that, there are some people who rear cows only. And the cow milk, usually the fat percentage is less. But solid non-fat component is actually more than double. But as I explained that, they measure only the fat percentage and assume that solid non-fat percentage is double of that. So there is a loss, therefore, because of that assumption for the cow milk producers. So that is why particularly those who are in the cow rearing business or produce cow milk, for them, fat-based pricing system in the organized channels prevent them or discourages them from accessing the organized marketing channel. So that is something that those who use the unorganized marketing channel, they reported as a problem. That fat-based pricing system in the organized channel as a problem. That is something that those people using unorganized channel reported it. Then delayed payments and accounting practices and buyer-seller relationship. In both the cases, we did not find, both the cases mean organized and unorganized marketing channels, we did not find that they are major issues. So mainly those logistical issues, fat-based pricing system in the organized channel, and the fluctuation, handling the fluctuation in milk production. These are the three major constraint that the farmer face. And therefore, they consider those three issues and try to balance while choosing these organized and unorganized marketing channel. Now, these three transaction costs being important one, we retain that along with certain other socioeconomic variables, and we do a regression analysis. Let me not make this technical. Like a story, let me explain this to you. Now, here again, our regression analysis also sort of confirm what we found from our exploratory analysis, that there are transportation difficulties, logistical issues, okay? Although there are no monetary costs involved in transporting the milk from the point of production to the point of sale, but logistically, because of logistical issues, there are non-monetary, non-pecuniary costs, and this is more in the unorganized space. So therefore, wherever this is a major problem, you see in that area, people are going for organized marketing space. Even if there are issues in the organized space also, but at least to some extent, because they are a collection center, okay, so that reduces some bit of transaction cost challenges for the farmers in the organized channel. Fat-based pricing system in the organized channels that prevents or rather discourages farmers from participating in the organized marketing channel. And then again, milk production fluctuation in the unorganized channels is difficult to handle that. So therefore, in order to sort of avoid that, some people choose the organized marketing channel as well. So the point is, while choosing the organized and unorganized marketing channels, so this transportation difficulty, logistical difficulty, fat-based pricing system versus volume-based pricing system in unorganized channel, and the handling fluctuation or instability in the milk production. These are the three things that the farmers try to balance while choosing, the marketing channel. Now, besides these three transaction costs, there are some other factors that also, socioeconomic factors that affect the choice of the marketing channels. So we found that households with elderly head prefers unorganized channels. That could be because because in the unorganized channel, the pricing method is volume-based pricing method. So per liter, how much? But in the organized, there will be testing of the fat content and all that. So elderly household, head of, elderly people might find it difficult or maybe challenging, in that system. So therefore, that could be the reason why the elderly head prefers unorganized marketing channel. Educated household head prefer organized channels, maybe because that is not an issue for them. Like the pricing and all that, they find that it is more, transparent, and so it's not a challenge for them. Then experience in the dairy sector also has a positive influence in choosing the organized channel. That means if somebody is there in the dairy business for a long time, they are more likely to choose the organized channels. And then family size, larger the family size, the higher is the likelihood of choosing the organized space. Probably because larger families are also associated with larger volume of production or larger herd size. So that probably therefore becomes organized channels become a natural choice for them. And finally, we found that access to extension service also has a positive impact as far as the choice of the organized channels are concerned. That means those who have access to extension service, they are more likely to access the organized channels. Now, again, that's probably because those who have access to extension service, they also get the information. Like, if you sell through organized channels, you will get that 3 rupees per liter cash transfers and so on and so forth. So that might incentivize those farmers who have access to extension service also to access organized marketing channel. So these I have already discussed. So now, given these findings, now we have an answer to the question that we raised, that why do organized and unorganized marketing channels coexist? Some bit of it I have already explained. So we understood that, both these channels, organized or unorganized, have their own advantages and disadvantages. In the organized channels, there is some bit of logistical support in terms of the collection centers in remote areas. So transportational challenges to some extent at least is overcome. Then the organized channels can accommodate the fluctuations in milk production, which is a difficulty in the unorganized channel. Whereas fat-based pricing system is a problem in the organized sector, And in the unorganized channel, however, the volume-based pricing system makes it much easier for certain kind of milk producers, like for example, small ones, small holders, then elderly producers, or those who produce, cow milk and so on and so forth. So therefore, what happens given these benefits and or rather advantages and disadvantages associated with these organized and unorganized channels? So while choosing these marketing channels, these households then they balance all these issues and accordingly choose their marketing channels. And because they cater, so therefore, in other words, what I'm trying to say is that the organized and unorganized channels, they cater to particular specific market need as well as the segment of the market, and thereby they coexist. Now, I am in fact towards the end of my presentation. So in conclusion, what we find is that organized and unorganized marketing channels, they coexist because both the channels offer certain advantages and they have their disadvantages also. And individual milk producers, milk farmers, they balance these advantages and disadvantages. Now, besides that, we also found that there are other certain socioeconomic and institutional factors like education level of the household head, family size, access to livestock extension services. These factors also play important role in the choice of the marketing channels. So what are the policy implications of our work? Now, as I said in the beginning, that in order to encourage sale through the organized marketing channels, the government of Nepal is giving this incentive, cash incentive. But we realize that monetary incentive alone are not sufficient. Despite this monetary incentive, unorganized channels continue to exist. So we have to look at the benefit why of the unorganized channels that it provides, as well as the problems associated with the unorganized marketing channels. Now, of course, as Director Sir was saying in the beginning of his welcome address, that unorganized channels also offer certain specific benefits, and that's what we have also mentioned. But the reason why the government is focusing in bringing more and more people to the organized space is that it will improve the distributional network, or demand supply gap to some extent can be avoided, and also more fair practices can be promoted in the organized space. So that's why probably if more people can come, despite the fact that there is advantage of unorganized or use of unorganized sector also, but if more and more people can join the organized space, it could be beneficial. So that's why this monetary incentive, and that's why this push. But for that, as I said, only monetary incentive will not work. The other issues, particularly this fat-based pricing system, that the problem that it causes for the cow milk producers, that needs to be tackled. So there has to be pricing reforms to ensure fair valuation of milk components. I have already explained the issue with the cow milk, that the fat content is 3.5, and because they measure only the fat content and SNF is not measured, just simply assume that it will be double of fat content. So there is 1.5 percentage point SNF value loss for the cow milk producer. So those kind of issues need to be corrected, and transportation and logistical support needs to be improved. Okay, there has to be more investment in rural networks and milk collection infrastructure. And we also saw that the extension services, and incentivizes access to extension services have positive impact on the choice of, organized channel. So supplementary intervention in terms of improving the access to extension service is another area of intervention that is required. So in short, that I would just conclude by saying that while both the channels may have their own advantages, but if we want to promote organized channels, given that we are trying to match the demand supply gap, or we're trying to promote safety measures in the food production, so then we should not be focusing only on the monetary incentive. The other issues also need to be tackled, and this could be problem not only in case of milk, in case of other agricultural commodities also, probably will have a similar kind of results or findings, and this might be applicable for other kind of agricultural commodities as well. Thank you. I'll stop here.
Thank you so much, sir, for your very, actually, I would say very descriptive and very in-depth research findings and that you have presented to our webinar. Now this is the part where we will start our discussion section and question answer section. I'm opening the floor to the audience. If you have any questions or any advice to us or any remarks, you can directly ask to the speaker. Kindly.
Should I stop sharing?
Yeah, you can do, sir. You can do.
Okay. So before somebody asks the question, I'll just want to share one additional point that I said that we also looked at the impact or implication of the choice of these marketing channels for farmer income. And we found that those who are in the organized space, their income is also higher. This is after controlling for the size, amount of milk that they produce and other factors. So just the choice of the, marketing channels has a positive impact on the farmer income as well. Thank you.
Thank you. May I request our Honorable Director General, sir, CIRDAP, if you inaugurate this discussion session, sir.
Oh, definitely. I have something to share, but I will come at the end.
Okay, sir.
For discussion, I'm very happy to see Dr. Nazrul Islam. I think he has many things to say.
Yes.
Over to you, sir, if you have some issues.
Yeah, Dr. Mohammed Nazrul Islam, sir, if you want to make any questions or any advice or any remarks, sir.
I have no questions, but I have some advice. The milk pricing depends on fat percent and SNF percent. In organized way. This is the fact. Both pricing is together and given the farmers alone.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, so basically they will measure the fat. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah. So to respond to your query, so what happens, the farmers bring their milk to the collection center, and in the collection center, they will take some sample and they'll measure the fat content. And they will not measure the SNF content. They just assume that if, say, suppose fat content is 4%, then SNF will be 8%, just the double. And there is a specific rate that is decided, prescribed by the government for the fat as well as the SNF percentage point, each percentage point. And accordingly, the price is decided.
I'm also happy to see Mr. Hema Jiva Gotabaya from Sri Lanka. He is chairman of Milco Private Limited. I'm sure he will bring some experience of Sri Lanka too.
Yes, sir. In Sri Lanka, we experience both formal and informal collection segment, but in the formal segment is very dominant. But I want to get some insight from our speaker. The organized sector, the competition. Are there any assessment on impact of the competition of organized sector? That means with the same segment, there are any that means the quality wise, so any assessment on milk quality basically. If the competition is high, what will happen? For competition, because Sri Lanka, we feel we experience less productivity, and most of the that means even 7-8 months of the year we experience high competition in formal sector.
Okay, so I'll
So
okay, please complete your question, then I'll respond.
no, sir. I want to know that are there any research or research component regarding this competition and milk quality basis?
Okay, so our research actually did not directly look at the competition part as well as in fact, both the issues that you have mentioned about. So particularly the competition part we did not look at. Only thing that we looked at was, when there is fluctuation, then how do the farmers tackle that and how that affects the choice. So other than that, the competition part we did not look at. But as far as the quality is concerned, so there are certain quality testing that happens in the formal sector. Organized sector. And unorganized sector, of course, it is more susceptible to quality issues. And major issue, as we know, in South Asia, the dilution of the milk by adding water is a major issue as far as the quality is concerned. And also cattle health and hygiene, all those issues are also there. Even while milking the animal, certain hygiene practices you are supposed to follow. So those things, unorganized sector, you of course don't have that. There is no way to check those things, or there is no quality control. So it's basically mutual trust between the buyer and the seller. That seller will give basically the milk producer will give the quality milk, and that is the trust that the buyer have. So that's how it runs in the organized sectors, organized marketing channels. So some tasting happens in the besides the fat content in the milk collection center, but also there are certain extension services offered regarding the hygiene that needs to be followed for rearing the cattle or while milking the animal. So those kind of things are there in the organized channel, but not in the unorganized channel. But for the competition part, sir, we did not look at that.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you. Thank you. Thanks for your question.
Thank you, sir. I am Dr. Arpita from Odisha, Bhubaneswar. So I am working on organized and unorganized dairy sector. I am working for women farmers. Actually, sir, what I find that in India also, sir, we are following two-axis system. That is fat and SNF. We are not going for doubling that fat to calculate the SNF. I don't know in your area what is there, but in our area we found that SNF is also calculated and two-axis pricing system is given. On the basis of that, milk price is calculated. Sir, what I find that organized not only include this dairy cooperatives, but also the private organized sectors are also there. And to make this milk quality better or to face the competition with dairy cooperatives, they add some milk powders in it so that milk can be thickened. Sir, if we are not regularly checking that what it is advisable to add to a certain extent, we can add, and this cooperative is also adding, but not more than a particular extent. But whether we need to check in your policy, we may add that if we are not checking the organized sector also regularly, then also the trust of the consumers on organized sector will decline. To strengthen the organized sector as well as to keep on the faith of the consumers on organized sector, we must need some check, or regularly there must be some this checking must be there so that consumer can get better things more immunologic, more microbiologically safe, more food safety will be addressed. Thank you for a nice presentation.
Thank you so much. That's a very valuable suggestions we can add in the policy suggestion. Yes, You're absolutely right. But only thing that I would say in our defense is that we actually did not look at the entire supply chain. We basically look at of the entire supply chain only one segment of that, which is basically from farmer to the marketing point. Like thereafter, when particularly in the organized channels, once the milk is delivered in the collection center and it goes to the processing unit of the dairy company, how they treat that and what happens thereafter, that part we don't look at. We confine ourselves only to that milk collection center only. But yes, whatever product that the dairy company will produce thereafter, that of course that's quality and all that depends on how the milk itself at the point of origin was produced and how hygiene measure whether hygiene measures were adopted or not. So that's a very valid point, and I think that is something we can definitely add in our policy prescription. Thank you very much for the suggestion.
Thank you.
Can I raise?
Any
Can I
other?
ask?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay,
Yes, yes.
I'm Professor Moni, Professor Emeritus from Sobit Institute of Engineering and Technology, and I am trying to promote digital technology in agricultural commodity value chain, and dairy value chain, informatics value chain is also very important. And I was quite impressed by the findings by Dr. Binoy Goswami. But organized sector is well established, and the figures which you are showing is always 65-35. But the present situation is that the government is not going to invest further investment in cooperative sector or organized sector. So how to convert the unorganized sector 65% is to more structured and bring in more technology adoption to bring in more rural youth to get employment opportunity in rural economy, sustainable. And agriculture sector, dairy sector is very important sector to bring in village economy sustainable. And for which the fodder availability and the animal health is very important. And we are working on an ecosystem approach for bringing in digital technology in agriculture. So one question I would like to ask Dr. Binoy Goswami, is there any digital technology enabled dairy value chain has been established in Nepal, in both in organized and unorganized sector? If it is not, is it not the right time to bring in dairy tech startup in every village where they have an considerable amount of bovine milk is bovine animals are available? What will be the economic scenario? And the thing which I also conduct a lot of webinars in this aspect, and which is going on in India. I have conducted more than 250 webinars since COVID situation. No milk should go out of the place of production in water, in milk liquid form. It should go as a value added products. This is where the challenge. What is your take on this, Dr. Binoy?
Yeah.
If it is meaningful.
Thank you, Professor Moni, for your intervention. In fact, you have raised a very, very important point. I mean, the use of technology. I am, in fact, all for technology and for having standardized, structured, value chain. I mean, that not only for, ensuring quality in the product, but also for improving farmers' income. If you can add more value, obviously, you can improve the farmers' income as well. Unfortunately, when we did, and it's not a very old data, 2000, last year's data only, and we did not, at least in the study area where we did not find the adoption of technology in the sense that you were saying in Nepal. And because it is closer to the national capital of Nepal, I don't expect that, that will happen probably in the very remote areas of Nepal. So I do agree with you. I mean, of course, there should be technology adoption. even in the unorganized segment, unorganized space. And but most important thing is that value addition is what is something that we should look at, because eventually at the end of the day, we have to think about improving or increasing farmers' income as well, and that can be done only through value addition.
Now, I also would like to add, for the benefit of others also, even in India, the unorganized sector, milk, is in the order of about 3 to 4 lakh crore, and which is untapped. We call it as a dudwala, category, who goes by cycle, and it is a vast, unplugged, a potential, which is available, which can generate a lot of employment opportunities, even in the structured, unorganized sector, bringing in digitalization, can even put 3 rupees per liter more in the hands of a producer, milk producer, even in the organized sector. That is some of the findings which it has been, presented in the webinar which I conducted. So it is a huge sector in the climate change situations, and animal health is very important. And we have to look into integrated farm health management, in which we are working, where use of artificial intelligence, big data analytics, and blockchain technology to ensure optimal nutrition in soil and harvested food to minimize human disease. This is very important because 80% of the disease which we get come from animal. So this is dairy sector is very important, and animal health is very important. Integrated farm health, digitalized integrated farm health is very important. I'll be very happy that if this I have been I used to interact with the Southeast University when former Honorable Vice Chancellor Dr. Chadda Sahab was the Vice Chancellor. That I told him that establish a Center for Agricultural Informatics and E-Government Research Studies in South Asian University, which is also relevant, and we are trying to promote. And I thank you for this presentation. But dairy sector is it's a sector which has to have another green revolution. This green revolution is not GREEN. This is GRIN. G is for genomics, R for robotics, I for informatics, N for nanotechnology. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Moni. Actually, you brought a very important issue, digitization. I think for transforming into organized sector through digitization. I will give you an example. Large number of startups, they are initiated by individuals. They are going for digitization to connect with the consumers. They maintain quality as it is maintained in organized sectors, and they sell the milk for double the price. They have the advantage which organized sector does not have, because local production very easy to market locally, local consumption. So if you see one, I remember one startup, Sits Milk. It is by a US returned, very qualified man. He started his own dairy. His turnover is 100 crores. It is a startup. He blended dairy with, digitization, as you rightly said. So unorganized sector became organized sector because of digitization. What are the specialties of the organized sector? They procure in time, they deliver in time, they know what consumers want, and consumers also knows whether milk is available or not. The organization of an organized sector, not unorganized digitization. It's a very, I think, what is the most successful model, Amul in India. How much milk we are handling? As Dr. Moni said, we are handling around 50 million liters per day. But, opportunities are multiple times. Is, one option. We can increase large number of startups, large number of self-help groups supported with technology. component of a very big organized cooperatives. In some of the cities, it is a very common practice. Very enterprising farmers, they take their cow in front of the consumer house. Seeing is believing. The consumer knows milk is not, and it is coming fresh from the animal. So these kind of innovations are experimented even in unorganized market. But whether these innovations can be expanded among large majority of unorganized market, the answer is no. So some of the good practices of organized market can be brought to unorganized market. It is through extension education and digitization to a certain extent. Suggestions, clarifications?
No, thank you very much, sir, for your suggestion. In fact, intervention. You're absolutely right. I mean, obviously, you cannot bring the millions of farmers into all of them into the organized space. So obviously, the solution will be to ensure fair prices, better quality, is to see that through extensions on other measures that the good practices are adopted even in the unorganized space. So that's a very that's the I think the appropriate approach. Thank you.
See, one more issue. Whether benefits. Is it a option available to all dairy farmers? This, am I audible?
And there
Yes,
is
sir.
I don't know if it's a problem with my side.
Organized sector, in spite of all advantages, is it accessible to all the dairy farmers? Actually,
yeah.
Address this issue in that way only when this inevitable situation is created, maybe a better extension and a better technology, promoting a local entrepreneurship, linking local production to local market. So that way we can prepare the local system formal system, so but they will be more in an advantageous position.
Yeah, absolutely.
Patients, you brought very important sector to the knowledge of all the audience. In fact, book Agri Value Chain System, probably I request many participants are here, and if you have any articles you can bring in so that we can disseminate with other people also. It's a wonderful presentation. Urain?
Yeah, yes, sir. Now we are at the end of our time. We're crossing our time actually. So now may I request our Honorable Director General, sir, for your closing remarks, sir. Thank you all for joining us. But I'm requesting our Honorable Director General for closing remarks.
Fine, I think
webinar.
I made some important points, but just I will conclude with one of my recent example related to this. We were traveling in Thailand, and we visited a place called Pashbari Cooperative. It was started by Excellency King and One of the important, observation is the government is purchasing entire milk procured and processed by this dairy cooperative. 100% marketing support by government for all 365 days. And what this government, they are supplying the same milk of children's. So you look at, this very support which ensures income security to the dairy farmers, which ensures the existence of a dairy cooperatives, which ensures, in logistics, many things. It is a sustainable system and also nutritional security to the children, especially in rural areas with the government support. I think this model, it is worth adopting because now decentralization of decision making is taking place. The people at district level, at panchayat level, at state level, province level, they can programs. Probably this is one way to dairy farmers by ensuring marketing, nutritious security of the society. Thank you very much. Editing in our YouTube channel. You just share with your friends if visit our YouTube channel. Thank you. Thank you all.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you for joining us. I have a last important announcement that we have another webinar next Thursday, February 20th. So you are most welcome to joining again with us on that webinar. So it is on the topic of artificial intelligence in improving farmers' livelihoods. So, and also please disseminate among your networks. It will be placed in our website, also in our social media for our next webinar. And this webinar recording will be placed in our YouTube channel, so you can go through it. And that YouTube link will be placed again in our website also. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining. Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Binoy Goswami, sir, for giving us the time. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thanks for having me.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.